What's up, y'all? Toya here, and I am back with another video for y'all. Before we get into the video, make sure you guys leave a like, subscribe, and share. Alright, y'all. Welcome back to another episode of Toya Reacts, where I react to anything and everything gig related. So today we have 4 videos that we're reacting to, y'all. 4 videos. These first 3, they should be fairly quick, because this 4th one, y'all, we got a lot to talk about. So let's go ahead and get into it.
What's going on, you guys? Time for that weekly Amazon rant. So let me know if any of the drivers, if this has happened to you. This is about the 3rd time now. Let's say you have a delivery from 7 to 10 p.m., a 3-hour route with 20 packages. You deliver 19, it's 10 p.m., your 3 hours is already up, you're paid for what you're doing, and you have 1 package left. You have to return that package right now if the place is open, like the dispatch place, or you have to return it by 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. And if you don't, your ratings will be affected. How does that even make sense? What if I planned my week to where this was the only route I was gonna do and I had something to do tomorrow, or if I had another job or whatever? And let's say you commute to the warehouse, let's say a 30-minute commute, you're not getting paid for it. They're not paying you for the mileage. They're not paying you for the extra 30 minutes it is to drive there and then another 30 minutes to drive home. It's honestly just, it's ridiculous, and I don't understand how. Maybe it's legal. I don't think that is legal, because I mean, it doesn't. How is that legal?
All right, guys. So fortunately, I haven't had this happen to me before where I went over on my route. I've come close to it. Like my very first downtown route, I had just finished just in time. I think I had like 2 minutes to spare, right? Now, I've heard, I don't know how true this is, okay? But I have heard that if you still have extra packages, you can contact support and you may be able to get compensated for that extra time that you're taking to deliver that package or packages, right? And like I said, don't quote me on this. This is what I've heard. I don't know if it's market to market. Here's the thing in this particular scenario, okay? The guy said he had 1 package left, 1 package. Now, we don't know how far he is from, where he has to deliver that package. I would say personally, I'm always striving to not have to return packages, okay? There was only 1 case, well, actually technically 2 cases, where I had to return packages. The first time was I went to a business on a Sunday that was in the middle of like this outdoor mall area, and it was closed. And why they wanted me to deliver this package, but that's besides the point, okay? But it was closed, it was undeliverable, and I didn't want to leave it there because they probably weren't gonna be at that location until the next business day. So yeah, I didn't want to risk leaving it out there, somebody take it. It's different when you're doing that versus an apartment building, right? Took that one back, marked it as undeliverable, took it back. The second time, I got an extra package that actually wasn't even on my route. So technically I couldn't deliver it even if I wanted to. I probably could, they could have added it to my route, but I didn't want to go ahead and do all that extra, so I just opted to take it back to the warehouse, right? Now, for me personally, like I said, if I happen to be in a situation where I'm running over on time, I would say that I would just go ahead and deliver the package if it's only going to take me, maybe 10-15 minutes max to deliver it. And I know some people are going to say, well, you shouldn't be working for free because that's what you're doing, blah, 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 blah. I get that. But I'm not going to waste more time taking it back to the warehouse. Like the guy said, if that warehouse is closed and you live, 30 minutes away, it ain't really worth it at that point. I'd rather just go ahead and take that L and deliver it, right? And like I said, it's going to vary. It's going to be a case-by-case basis. Like I said, if it's only a couple minutes, sure, I'm not tripping. But if that last package is like 30-40 minutes away from where I'm at, I probably wouldn't do it. Like I said, it just kind of depends on the scenario. But I would always say contact support to see what your options are, because yeah, if you have to return it the next day and the warehouse is closed, that can be kind of, but call support, figure it out, make the best decision based off of what support tells you, right? All right, moving on to the next video.
Now, I really don't understand where some of these restaurants get off treating drivers. Like, I picked up an order, I'm basically already to the customer's location, right? And I get a call from the restaurant telling me they forgot something and they want me to turn back to get it. You can't do that. You can't have drivers risk their accounts on contract violations for extreme lateness and all of these other things just because you managed to not listen to us when we say, "Are you sure this is everything?" Her response was amazing, by the way. "So you're coming back, right?" "No, I'm not coming back. Are you kidding me?" "Seriously, do you take bleach in your coffee or coffee with your bleach?"
Not the bleach. I've been watching a few of this guy's videos and nah, he's funny though. He's funny. Now, in my short excursion with doing food delivery, I have not had this happen. Now, when I've done catering and I was on my way out, they forgot to give me, I think it was like lemonade or tea or something, and they caught me while I was still in the parking lot, right? And, you know, so it's a difference between catering and doing the DoorDash, you know, food delivery. For delivered, I don't know if they show you all the details on Deliver That or Zifty or any of these other catering apps, right? You know, even for DoorDash, I don't know if they show the full catering order on there like they do with the regular food. But on Delivered, they don't show you what the order is. But in a lot of cases, when I'm doing those deliveries, I will ask them, hey, is this it? This is everything, right? Just to confirm, because I have no way of confirming myself, right? I'm relying on the restaurant to tell me, hey, here's everything. Or wait, oh, hold on, let me grab this before you know, walk out the door or whatever, right? You know, it varies by platform, okay? So now I know with DoorDash, from the last time I did it, I don't know if they still do this, but I was able to see the full order in its entirety, right? You know, if it has drinks, you know, you can confirm if you have the drinks, or, you know, anything that's on the outside, maybe you get some ice cream or something, whatever, right? So you can confirm by, you know, a visual, right? Just to see how much you actually got in your hand, right? Do you have a drink? Do you have a bag with the food or whatever? Blah, blah, blah. Now, the only thing you can't do is open up the bag to verify, right? Because most of the time it's taped up just so, you know, we can avoid tampering and all of that stuff, right? So we can't really go and verify if everything is in there. We're reliant on the restaurant to make sure that they've given us everything, right? The point that I get into my car and I start driving off and then you realize you forgot something, that's on you, you know. And at that point, the customer has to take it up with DoorDash, okay? And DoorDash can get on the restaurant about it, right? I'm not gonna turn around and risk being late. You know, you already got people on edge, waiting for their food already, and because you messed up, I'm not gonna go ahead and risk my rating. So, you know, I'm gonna take it there, give them a courtesy and say, hey, the restaurant just called me and said they forgot to put this in the bag, and, you know, you can go ahead and contact DoorDash, you can get a refund for that item, and leave it at that. Leave it at that, right? All right, moving on to the next video, guys.
I think I speak for most delivery drivers when I say that we don't really like making deliveries to apartment complexes, especially the ones that make it difficult to find the right unit, whether the address isn't in plain English or even in plain sight. I'm sorry, there's nothing against you guys that live in these units. It's just the complexes you guys live in make it difficult for us to make a quick and efficient drop off. So this is a video on how to avoid complexes almost every single time, whether you're using Uber Eats, DoorDash, Postmates, Grubhub, you name it. How to avoid complexes. So what you want to do is when you open up the app, before you accept the order, I want you to zoom all the way into the drop off pin. When it's a single family home, the address is close to the pin and you can see other addresses in a single file line and adjacent to the address. Whether it's an apartment, the address is far away from the pin.
Well, whenever I decide to do food delivery again, I will test out that theory. So I don't know if anybody else has done that before and scrolled in to see if, you know. But yeah, apartments are great. Apartments are great. Now, the thing about apartment complexes, at least for me, because most of my experience with apartments comes with me doing Amazon Flex. So the thing is with them, it's like, I don't really mind them when it comes to them being in the suburban areas, because for the most part, not all of them, but most of them are fairly straightforward as far as like where you have to go. You know, this is 1A, this is 3B, you know, whatever. You know, maybe you have a call box, maybe you can just walk right in, you know, it varies, right? I really haven't had too many issues in the suburbs, but these high rises especially the high rises that are downtown, those luxury apartments, whew, you can't get access to those, man. Like, The thing that bugs me the most is the fact that people expect items to be delivered, whether it's food or it's a package or, whatever it is, and they just don't be prepared. They legit don't be prepared. I'm like, how are you not prepared? Especially if it's food. Like, guaranteed they're gonna be there within 30 minutes to an hour. You should be prepared to get the food. And like, if you got kids, maybe the baby start crying, you gotta go ahead and do that's fine. That's understandable. But some people they just don't. They just don't be prepared, and I just don't understand why. So, you got people jumping through hoops. Now, but the thing about people in apartments, at least what I've heard, like I said, since I haven't done food delivery like that, but I can believe this though, that they seem to leave the most instructions between people in apartment complexes or people that don't tip, and then when you combine them together, it's just whew, like you legit got people leaving like damn near cheat codes in the instructions. like I was seeing some people be like, yeah, make sure my food isn't cold, go ahead and ask for extra ketchup and this and that and blah blah blah. And then it's like, okay, you asking for all of this stuff and you ain't even tip. That's crazy, bro. But no, apartments can really be a hassle, for real. Like I said, mainly my experience with apartments is gonna come from Amazon Flex, and it's either lack of instructions, wrong instructions, or like I said, the main thing is just getting access into the building. And if they ain't got any way for you to buzz in or a code for you to type in, like it's just over with. And then they never answer their phone. It's just, it's something. Apartments are something, for real. All right, last video, and this is probably gonna be the long one right here, y'all. This is gonna be the long one.
It's becoming much easier to communicate with people. I can send you small amounts of money. I can hire you through an app. I can rate you afterwards. So we're seeing an atomization of the firm. We're seeing the optimal size of the firm shrinking. It's most obvious in Silicon Valley. Tons and tons of startups constantly coming up and shaving off little pieces of businesses from large companies and turning them into huge markets. So what looked like the small little vacation rental market on Craigslist is now suddenly blown up into Airbnb. This is one example.
That's a great example.
But what I think we're going to see is, whether it's 10, 20, 50, 100 years from now, high quality work will be available. We're not talking about now driving an Uber. We're talking about super high quality work will be available in a gig fashion, where you'll wake up in the morning, your phone will buzz, and you'll have 5 different jobs from people who have worked with you in the past or have been referred to. You decide whether to take the project or not. The contract is right there on the spot. You get paid a certain amount. You get rated every day or every week. You get the money delivered. And then when you're done working, you turn it off and you go to Tahiti or wherever you want to spend the next 3 months.
Okay. Yeah, let's dive into this topic, y'all. This gonna be something right here. So yeah, the future of gig work, the future of gig economy, all of that. Like, what is it gonna look like in the next 10, 20, 50 years from now, right? It's gonna change drastically. So like, going back to what I said in 2 videos ago, I was talking about how DoorDash, Instacart, all these gig companies, they're losing a ton of money. And ironically, I made the comment when I was stating that there could be another company that comes out of nowhere and they're able to do everything right and pretty much destroy the competition of DoorDash, Grubhub, all of these other big companies, right? And it's funny that he gave that example with like the Airbnb. I don't know much about Airbnb myself, but it's just funny how, he gave that example. You have a small company that takes a part of an existing company. They take that part that is successful and they take it and they expand on it, right? And you just take over. Right? And so the thing is, this is how I see it. And, people can argue today, which I've seen this a lot in the comment sections with, a lot of videos, not only my own, but other people. People argue that gig work is not sustainable. Now, you can agree and say, well, the current state of gig work is not sustainable. Like, I can see the argument, but there's a lot of people who make it work. There's a lot of people on YouTube that show you day in and day out how much money that they can make doing gig work. But of course, they're going about it the smart way. They're doing it the right way, right? You have to have a plan in place. And, it's more or less to get around all of the BS and the foolery that, a lot of these companies have put in place to try to, make sure they're the most profitable while, not spending too much on the gig worker itself. But like I said, things are evolving every day. They're evolving. And yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, gig work takes over a majority of the workforce. And to be honest, I can already kind of see that it's kind of starting to happen now. So let me give you this example, and this might apply to you from what you've noticed in the past years, okay? How many of you guys have contacted customer service for, you know, any service that you have, right? Whether it's your internet service, maybe you called your bank, maybe, you know, your phone provider, whoever, right? You called them because you needed help for, you know, whatever reason, right? And at one point you would call and you would get a person and, you know, they'll help you through your issue, whatever. Maybe you had to get a ticket created, you had to get it escalated, whatever the case may be. But, you know, you talk with the person and, you know, they were able to help you out, right? Now, fast forward to today. Now, at some point, you might have called them and the person that picked up the phone, you realize, wait a second, this person from overseas. And not to say it in a disrespectful way or anything, but a lot of times these folks, they're reading off of a script and they may not necessarily be able to understand your problem. You could have a unique problem and they're following a script and, you know, they're like, okay, well, you know, you need help with your account. Yes and no. I have this particular unique issue because of A, B, and C, and D, and they don't really know how to really comprehend like what is your actual issue. So you find yourself getting frustrated because that person isn't understanding and you're like, well, let me just speak to somebody else. Let me speak to a supervisor or whatever, right? And eventually, yeah, you'll get the help that you need. But that's just an example of, you know, the direction that a lot of these companies are going. They're trying to cut costs in any way possible. And jobs like customer service and, you know, first level support, even second level support, depending on, you know, what industry you're in, a lot of that is, well, it's just an expense to them. They're not bringing in any money. So they want to cut costs. The first thing they do is like, okay, so they look and they're like, all right, how can we save money? Well, instead of hiring 20 or 30 people, you know, as employees, you know, paying them $20 an hour to answer the phone, we can just outsource and do a contract with this particular company. They have people on the phone overseas and they only charge $5 an hour per person. So they're like, ooh, I can go ahead and shave me a decent amount of money and I ain't got to pay benefits. I ain't got to worry about OT, nothing like that. So they opt to go with the cheaper option and outsource and get people from overseas to go ahead and take those calls, right? But the problem with that is they're doing it at the expense of the service that's being provided. It's really bad service in a lot of cases. There have been plenty of times where I have called, especially Comcast, because my Comcast, I don't know what's wrong with it in my area, but I've called them so many times and they have to go by a script. And I understand that. And I tell them every single time I call them, I say, listen, I understand you're going through your script. You have to go step by step by step by step. But I'm telling you this right now. I've done all of this. Matter of fact, I'm in this industry, so I know how to do all that troubleshooting and all of that. So you ain't got to worry about that. Just get me to the next level so we can go ahead and figure this out. Okay. And sometimes they bump me up to the next level. Sometimes they're like, well, let me just go ahead and go through this. And I'm just sitting there like, sitting there for another 10 minutes. Did you turn it on and off? Did you make sure all the cables are plugged in? Did you do this? Do you see a green light? Do you see a yellow light? And I'm like, I just want some help. I'm just trying to get this resolved, okay? And, you know, to kind of get back to the main point, you know, we're already seeing companies do this, you know, like I said, this whole outsourcing thing. You know, who's to say that they won't do the same thing with these entry-level positions, the mid-level positions, and maybe even some senior positions? You never know. Now, I would say certain positions they probably can't contract out because you can't have turnover with certain positions. You know, you need somebody that's dedicated, that knows everything that's going on. So I would say there's probably going to be a hard stop somewhere. But, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if one day, like he said, you know, you wake up in the morning, you look at your phone and you see, oh, you know, here's a IT contract. They're building out a new environment or a new infrastructure, and they need to go ahead and bring in somebody to do the coding or do the testing or whatever, right? And it's like, all right, you know, here's a week-long contract for 5 days. You're working 10 hours, and at the end of it, you get paid $2,000, you know? And you look at it, you're like, you know what? Let me go ahead and brush off my little degree that I ain't touched in about 5 years. I guess I'll dive back into that, you know. And like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if we go into that direction. You know, things like IT, construction, and just a lot of work. Like, we literally already have traveling nurses. You know, you have nurses that hop from hospital to hospital, and they get paid a lot of money. A lot. They work long hours for sure, but they bring in a lot of money. You know, and I wouldn't consider that gig work, but it's kind of like contract work. It's still contract work. You're there for a certain amount of time. You complete whatever work that needs to be done, and you move on to the next. Right? And like I said, I don't have a problem with this personally, because in my opinion, a lot of us, and I think I mentioned this before, a lot of us have finally started to realize that, you know, we don't really owe any loyalty to these companies. It's going to start to be less and less common that you hear people say, well, I've been at this company for 30, 40, 50 years or whatever, you know, came into this job when I was 20 and I'm retiring at 75. Like, that's going to be less and less likely to happen as, you know, things go on, because we've gotten to the point, like I said, people are starting to get fed up. You know, they're realizing that, you know, why should I be loyal to a company that doesn't respect me? They want to have me work crazy hours and have all this extra work and these crazy expectations. And what do I get in return for it? You know, I'm barely getting by. So, you know, I would rather job hop than stay at a place where I'm just slaving away for nothing. You know, getting a pen after my 5-year anniversary, right? True story, by the way, true story. And yeah, it's like, I don't know. But, you know, I honestly don't have a problem with transitioning into work that's more contract based. Obviously, you're going to have to be on your P's and Q's and making sure that you're managing your money a bit more, because you're not going to be guaranteed the same amount of money every week or every 2 weeks or whatever. You know, you're going to have to make sure you have your healthcare, dental, vision, you know, all your benefits, your life insurance, stuff like that. So yeah, it's gonna be something. It's gonna be something. I feel like it's still gonna be beneficial for both parties. You know, the company, they get to save money because, you know, they don't have to pay the benefits and things like that. And, you know, it'll be good for the worker because, well, you can pretty much work when you want to, in a sense. And you can pick up whatever contract you want to pick up and go from there. So at that rate, I wouldn't even call it gig work. It's just going to be straight up contract work at that point, right? It's literally just going to evolve into just straight up contract work. And like I said, I don't have a problem with it. I don't have a problem with it at all. At the end of the day, these companies, they're just trying to be as profitable as they can. So there's no problem with the worker doing the exact same thing, bouncing around from contract to contract, job to job, whatever, however you want to classify it, right? You know, at the end of the day, we're just trying to put food on our table, pay our bills, make sure we're good. And yeah, so no, we don't owe anything. We don't owe anything to these companies, right? They playing us, so let's play the game back. Let's play the game back. So only time will tell what's going to happen in the future. Even, you know, 1 year from now, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, by the time we all retire and, you know, take a look back and see like, wow, you know, how much has changed with gig work. You know, it's going to be interesting to see how things play out and how things evolve. I'm very, very excited to see how things are going to play out for us. Right. So yeah, like I said, only time will tell. Only time will tell. But that is enough talking, guys. I'm gonna go ahead and get up out of here, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm gonna catch you guys on the next one. And as always, stay safe out there and keep grinding.